We just have enjoyed it for so many years and are a little apprehensive about the changes they're wanting to make to it because we really like it just like it is. My first thought was, why?
The iconic yellow logo featuring a character called the Old Timer or Uncle Herschel, in place since the 70s, has been replaced with a sleek, minimalistic look. The company's stock taking a hit since the rebrand.
Old is new again, and I am referring to that, the Cracker Barrel logo, as you can see here on social media, courtesy of Fox News, that the Cracker Barrel announcing it's changing the logo back after this rebrand. And I know their statement from this saying, "We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain."
The restaurant chain says it is ditching the new logo and bringing back the original. So you can see the original logo on the left and on the right. The look that sparked all of this controversy
is Cracker Barrel. They have gone back to the old logo. They listen to you, the customer.
Here's the thing. There's like a silver lining in this. People actually care about Cracker Barrel.
Yes. Good old reliable Cracker Barrel. After its newly failed All for More campaign that's been pushed recently by the CEO, it looks like we're just getting the old Cracker Barrel back. They said that they would listen, and they have. No more of that silly Cracker Barrel of today and tomorrow rhetoric. Wait. Hold on. I think I've heard this one before.
In the latest battle of the Cola Wars, Coke says it's bringing back its old formula.
Within the next several weeks, the original taste, which many people in the country apparently missed, will be available again.
Well, we read and we listened.
We would listen, and we have.
Well, we read and we listened.
We would listen, and we have.
Well, we read and we listened.
We would listen, and we have. Our new logo.
I think we've all been duped, tricked, fooled, bamboozled, some would say, by Cracker Barrel. Well, just want to give you something to think about. Cracker Barrel comes out and says, "Hey everyone, we're changing everything." And now old Cracker Barrel customers are thinking to themselves, "But we like the old Cracker Barrel. We like Cracker Barrel just the way it is." Stocks plummet, and while customers are getting their feelings of nostalgia for good old Cracker Barrel, Cracker Barrel then comes out and says, "Hey guys, guess what? We're not changing anything now." Stocks begin to rise again. Think about it. When was the last time you thought about Cracker Barrel? So I know there's some other simple explanations, like all brands kind of simplifying, making it easier to navigate on your phone from apps with having a less detailed logo. But I have another theory. I think this is a big old PR stunt. Just one big PR stunt. So this new Cracker Barrel campaign was said to market to a new, younger demographic. But I don't think the aim was for new customers at all. I think this was aimed towards its original customers, but aimed towards new stockholders. But hey, let's share some comments and see what you guys think. As you know, here I like to have an open dialogue, really get a set of different perspectives. So we're gonna go ahead and chat with some listeners and kind of see where everyone's at. Responses to my theory of exactly what's going on here with Cracker Barrel. All right, so let's see. All right, Daniel. Every time I go to North Carolina to visit family, it's more than just a store to some people. Most of the other restaurants are all out of business at this point. And Daniel, I think that's exactly what they're trying to invoke. You're exactly what this campaign was kind of meant for. all those feelings that you express, like, oh, it's more than a store, like it's a must go to whenever I go to North Carolina. So I think it's really more about them trying to reinvigorate that feeling that you have and that you just expressed right now. Jessica, I lived in North Carolina, and we have many restaurants that are way better in food morals than Cracker Barrel. Jessica is already throwing shade. Margaret, you are giving too much credit to the woke CEO, and DEI and woke world is very primitive. Or L says, I think about Cracker Barrel when I'm traveling so frequently, and again, just trying to reinvigorate that feeling. I think you're the exact person this is targeting to. Although they may claim they want a new demographic, I think they're just trying to tap into that feeling that the old crowd already has. Terry L, you have a very valid point. Bad publicity can sometimes be better than no publicity. I think they may have miscalculated. I'm not going to really argue if it will be successful in the future. Only time will tell at this point. So we'll see if it is a miscalculation. Edward H. Yeah, you doorknob. That is a great insult, Edward. Thank you. Lol. Cracker Barrel went down the same road as Target, Budweiser, and went broke. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I'm not gonna tolerate too much of the went broke rhetoric. It's kind of nonsensical. I'm seeing this more as a new Coke situation. Coca-Cola changed the formula, had a huge ad campaign. When that crumbled and failed, they brought it back, original Coke for good, saying, yeah, we're eventually gonna phase out new Coke, which is what they were saying about original Coke. And after that, Coke sales skyrocketed, outselling Pepsi. New Coke, I feel like, was more of a response to Pepsi's growing popularity, kind of supply and demand, that where you take that supply away and then the demand skyrockets, and it worked super successfully for Coke. All right, Jesse S. Why would any business spend millions then lose tens of millions only to say just kidding, hope to trick the consumer? They'll be lucky to even break even from that move. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, like tens of millions is almost what is spent in a budget when it comes to chains marketing in general. Advertisement, think McDonald's, they spend hundreds of millions in advertising. It's a spend money to make money. I guess in Cracker Barrel's case would be lose money to make money. Again, I'm not defending if the PR move will work or not. We will see. Time will tell. But let's just make that clear. West W says, definitely trying the new Coke approach, yeah. Justin K, only reason I bought any stocks. There's actually a lot of this happening. Okay, see, so we have a listener that is someone that is getting into these stocks as they're low. New stockholders, that just means more investors for Cracker Barrel. I am expecting to sell everything soon because I believe this will fade. Hey, whoa. Michael C says, nah, more like just logically saw what was happening and didn't want to go down with the sinking ship. That's definitely not far-fetched. Maybe possibly done this rebrand and completely believe in it, and once they saw it wasn't working, just completely backpedal. I don't think there was ever a chance for this rebrand to work, but that's just my opinion. Donovan C, interesting theory. All right, Travis M says, risky move though, considering that they've already renovated back to a bunch of old Cracker Barrels. Say screw it and write them off. That's a possibility. James M says, you're wrong. Cracker Barrel folded quickly in the public eyes, and it's burning the leftists right now. Really sticking it to those leftists. We need to capitalize on this and help their stocks rise. James, this is literally what they want you to do, so that it rubs salt in the wounds of the left. James, you are literally going beat for beat on what I think Cracker Barrel is doing. That is actually really hilarious. This will be a message to other businesses that are out there that are trying to pander to the left. If Cracker Barrel goes back on it, they'll pay the exact same penalty. If you go woke, you go broke. James, I think this campaign just worked perfectly on you. I think it just worked perfectly on you. I think you are the exact person they were trying to target on this. Dale E., not Earnhardt, but Dale E. says it cost them $130 million. If that was their strategy, they must have been advised by Joe Biden. Nobody likes seeing American businesses lose money more than Biden. Definitely that $130 million, that's a high risk. But high risk, high reward, that is a thing that definitely predates this. Now, Matt K says, no kidding. Looks suspicious. That's what I'm saying. Their customer base is the easiest to market to and manipulate. I think James was actually pretty good evidence of that. Margaret A. says, you're giving too much credit to the woke CEO. The DEI in woke world is very primitive enough. Again, this is not much dialogue to kind of go into. Bernie T says, all the time, I love their fried chicken, burgers, and breakfast. Crepes, smoked sausages. I loved their fried chicken livers, but they discontinued them. So, again, just looking at those original customers, that original fan base that they're relying on, and just getting them thinking about Cracker Barrel. I think that's just so important. Harry G says, this is so dumb, it makes no sense. What's dumb about it, Harry? I mean, Coca-Cola did it, and it worked out. Christopher C., as they say, bad press is better than no press at all, which is exactly what I was saying. When was the last time that people talked about Cracker Barrel, especially to this degree, which probably never, to be honest. Harry just deleted his comment. All right, Harry, looks like you folded. Harry folded faster than Cracker Barrel. Randall C. says, so it's basically just gaslighting, false flag conspiracy. Interesting. Hey, that gaslighting's really, really potent. Tyler D. says, you sound like you do a lot of dope. All right, Tyler. PR, you sound... Thanks for your comment, Petey. Really adding to the conversation here with insults. Stephen L. I'm thinking about the last time I ate there. Didn't care for the food, so logo or no logo, the food for me is the reason why I stay away. That's why I don't think that the logo change, the revamp, was really targeted towards new customers. Again, I think it's just a big PR stunt to get their old customers or customers that haven't been there in a while back in the door. I don't think they even have intentions of introducing or getting new customers. I think Cracker Barrel knows who they are. Jones C. But they're still doing major changes, not just giving up little things. They're just woke agenda, blah 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 blah. All right, Tony S. just said, out of curiosity, what do you consider to be woke agenda? If it considers treating everyone equally, how is that woke? Which absolutely, I'm failing to see the wokeness correlation, but that's just me. John T. says, like rump. When people bought a bunch of stock just before he announced the pause on tariffs, stock market manipulation. There you go. That's a great comment, John. It can be conflated artificially, and I think this is an example of that. Ray C says Cracker Barrel food is great. See, it's got you thinking, Ray. You're probably thinking about, I gotta go to Cracker Barrel right now. I still go regularly. What about that, Abraham? Huh? Ever think about that, Abraham? I love how much you're using my name in this, but yeah, George, you're still a regular that's going all the time. And again, I don't think this campaign was targeted towards regulars that still frequently visit. I still think that's what's happening. I think it's just all PR. You think, but you don't know. I mean, all right, George, let me make this clear. It is just me speculating. I'm not like an insider that works at Cracker Barrel. And it is just a theory. The trends of where those stocks were going, they were willing to go for that high risk, high reward strategy. Carl C, I thought about that too. W. Mitchell. It's like a 5D chess move, but I saw it as well. W comment. W Mitchell. W comment. That's a win. Absolutely. 5D chess move. I agree. I think they're just kind of moving ahead, thinking ahead of that customer base. Lindsay Reed, we stop by Cracker Barrel every time we go anywhere for vacation. It's kind of a tradition, and there you go. Really just nostalgic for it. And nostalgia is a powerful tool that marketing can use. Nick M, that's a cool idea, but you're forgetting the fact that their stock has been on a dive for the past 5 years after they hired that New York liberal woman, doing exceptionally well until she came along. And okay, but the thing is, a nosedive in their stocks that happened 5 years ago. What else happened 5 years ago? COVID. So that might have played a big part in their stocks dropping since 2020. I'm not sure what you're arguing, because I think that stock drop is a good indication of desperation, and a big PR stunt can definitely turn things around for them. People love controversy. Raymond F says, although you're very intelligent, oh, thank you, Raymond, you're screaming into the void. Americans get manipulated so often they can't even see it anymore. I mean, I'm still trying to, express the dialogue. It can feel like screaming into the void, but I still like to try to keep the conversation open and, as honest as possible. John S, she isn't remotely that smart. Okay, that comment's just kind of funny. All right, Barrett W, they lost over 140 million in just a couple days. It then became about survival and avoiding bankruptcy. They changed their company and made a stand. At the end of the day, money talks, BS walks. It was a financial decision to reinstall the man in the barrel. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that all those initial changes were good. I'm not defending Cracker Barrel. I think you guys are getting a little confused or a little misconstrued about that. Because when they were first rolling out these initial changes, yeah, it kind of felt like the same old corporations out of touch, trying to appeal to a new audience, blah, 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 whatever. Or even other than that, more of the same of trends that are already happening with other companies where they're oversimplifying their logos. This trend has been going on for years now. I mean, we can see it here, 2D flat images, and it's kind of just been the norm. So the outrage for this hasn't really, for some of these other companies, hasn't been as equated to Cracker Barrel's logo change. But again, that's why I feel like that people do have a point that it is more than the logo change. But I think that feeling that they're trying to invoke, they're hitting it. McCrane says, Abraham, you can't be this dumb. I'm sorry. What did I do? I'm sorry, McCrane. All right, what's going on? Vultures swooped in to buy low-valued stock. They could afford to lose it. Since Cracker Barrel has tried to go back, they abandoned their core value customers, they will eventually fold. No doubt Cracker Barrel loyalists will go back. But to sustain the brand over time, what I heard was the food was bad and they were already losing customers. What are you talking about? I'm not even arguing against that. Those points are fine. Also, the investors are betting on a dark horse. If Cracker Barrel wins, they will crash out and make bank. If Cracker Barrel tanks, it's a business loss and they'll write it off on their business expenses. How do you not know that? How do I not know that? McCrane, what are you talking about? I'm not even disagreeing with these points. I'm confused with all the insults you're throwing my way. Yeah, I think you're right, where it is a big gamble, as you refer to as a dark horse stock. High risk, high reward. Oh, you're hitting me with the charts now. All right, here, I'll pull up the charts. But here's the thing. Here's another chart, and this is after the rebound. So you can see they've already had quite a large dip within the year in their stocks. And they did have that large drop after the logo reveal and other announcements of renovations, but they've rebounded. How far that rebound will go, I'm not sure. Really not even sure what you're arguing about. Like, we're not even arguing different points, but you're being bad. I don't know. One says, you are 100% incorrect. That PC board they hired thought she had a good idea, and Trump straightened her out. Thanks for the hashtag fake news, though. I don't even have anything to say about that. I mean, you're saying hashtag fake news? Like I said earlier, just speculation. I mean, what are you talking about? Like, nope, Trump straightened her out. He went right up to Cracker Barrel and... What are you talking about? Quan, what are you talking about? John Gray just sent in a photo, and it says, lacking in basic education, reason, and logic. That's right. He just came up with 7 reasons on why I'm just a dumb liberal. Thanks for the compelling argument there, Johnny boy. You gave 7 whole reasons, and you really showed your data there. Thanks for contributing productively to this conversation. Here, oh boy. All right, so Eric is unleashing everything. All right, people are replying to Eric. So let's see what Eric just said. They implemented DEI hiring practices in 2022. Their profit margins dropped to 1.6% in 2023. Numbers don't lie, regardless of what people feel or believe. They did not do this as a publicity stunt. They thought they were going to go more woke. From DEI hiring practices. It's called incompetence in the leadership room. That's all. Well, you are not making people happy with that statement, Eric. So let's see what people are replying with. Nicole G says, DEI hiring has nothing to do with it. Nobody knew about their policy until people started screaming DEI. White women more than any other demographic. While diversity, equality, and inclusion programs aim to benefit all underrepresented groups, research indicates that white women have disproportionately benefited from these initiatives, particularly in the workplace. In reports, this is partially because DEI efforts often focus increasing representation of leader womanship in positions, which has led to significant gains of white women, according to the League of Women Voters. Michael A just said, Eric, hey, you're full of... Not gonna repeat that, but you can imagine what he had to say. Richard just responded to Eric as well. Numbers don't lie, but people do, or exaggerate, or oversimplify to tell a narrative that fits their belief. Richard, off the gates, just throwing some bombs. All right, out of all that thinking, you didn't think that rising labor and food costs shifted margins? Trust me, the conservative base, which is 90% of their customer base, has been done with them for a while and is a bigger smack in the face than the logo. The logo just made headlines, that's all. They better get back to their southern ambience and good quality food, or it's gonna be over. Their customer base does not care about DEI. They don't care. They just want good service. They want some dang on butter in their biscuits. New Coke. Coke was a much larger staple in the South than it was in the North. Even today, most people still refer to general sodas as Coke. And again, that feeling of betrayal is what gets people kind of so riled up about these corporations and these brands. And honestly, it's a little silly. Mike H says, stick to your day job and leave business to the pros. You're embarrassing all of us right now. I mean, Mike, feel free to share your input. You know, I'm interested to see your perspective and not be rude about it. But go ahead, Mike. We're waiting for you. Come on, Mike. Just say something. What is it, Mike? Nothing? All right. Jason S. Yeah, but losing 100 million wouldn't be a great business decision to accomplish what you said. They've already started putting changes into effects and realized how damaging it was going to be. And yeah, but look, in normal circumstances, of course, $100 million isn't great for business, but I don't think this is a normal circumstance, Jason, because when you look at this, there's already downward trajectories. So I think anything to get Cracker Barrel back into the public's eyes was ideal. In their perspective, I don't know if it will work again, but Miriam says the only reason their stock rose back up was because the orange is great. Okay. The orange said by going back to the old logo, it would be a lucrative opportunity, which was a dog whistle for people to jump in and buy stocks once the prices go back up. Again, I'm not disagreeing with that point. I think that is basically what's happening. I don't feel like the catering and the rebrand for different demographics was genuine in the first place. I don't think that those are genuine. I don't think the logo design was genuine. I don't think the rebrand was genuine. I don't think what the CEO was saying was genuine. I still see this as a huge PR stunt kind of planned out from the beginning, because I don't think this rebrand, if you look at it, there's no way they would have thought that rebrand would ever work. There's no way. From Richard G, looking forward to going back to that place, haven't been in months. My point exactly, just now we're thinking about Cracker Barrel, now we're thinking about going back. Tom H, I'm not dazzled by your brilliance, but I'm baffled by your bullshit. What's your point? My point is, I just see this as more of a ploy than anything. That ploy is literally just getting the word Cracker Barrel to come out of people's mouths again. Jer Bear, exactly. Appeal to the conservative crowd because they're the most gullible and will throw money at any garbage sold to them as long as said sellers tell them what they want to hear and it makes them feel relevant again. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Going back to New Coke, I think it did that same thing, because if you look at charts like this in the South, Coca-Cola is very relevant in those areas, to the point where most of that area refers to all sodas as Coke. We being from the Midwest, of course, we call it pop. Corgi says, I think you may be onto something. Hosties was going out of business and everyone went crazy buying Twinkies in bulk. And they're still here and nobody lost their Twinkies. And Corgi, that's a really great example. So as I think many of you may have remembered, back in 2013, a new company came in to buy Hosties. Hosties had filed for bankruptcy and essentially came out and said Twinkies would be discontinued forever, and the public response was huge. Let's actually pull up some articles because I remember that happening. Laura Farks from Foodie, and just to kind of sum it up, Twinkies were kind of on the loom of demise, stating that they're going to be discontinued. Twinkies were going to be gone forever. And as a response, what people started doing was clearing out shelves of Twinkies, and Twinkies were up in the internet and selling for as high as $1,000 at that time. So basically in this article, Laura points out on how the new owners recognized the sheer power of nostalgia at that moment, and even though the product wasn't performing as well, so the Hosties company was partnering up, and an investment of $200 million was made to buy that Hosties IP, including Twinkies. And from that instance, fast forward to just 3 years after that, come by 2016, the Twinkies brand was once again sold, but at that time, for now, $2.3 billion. So again, and this was all the way back in 2013. Here we are 12 years later, a pandemic later, and Hosties are still here and arguably doing better than they ever have. So that, yeah, a company could totally tank and rebound from that, especially if they have something as nostalgic as that Hosties IP. Eric F says, yeah, except they lost over $800 million pulling that stupid stunt. But again, high risk. But they want new investors with a low stock. They're gonna rebound now with more investors. And Jim N says, all very true. One big publicity stunt to allow short sellings of profits to insiders. They didn't lose $100 million. Their stockholders did. Except on these insides, they knew what was going on. They profited handsomely. What a scam. Jim, you hit the nail right on the head. I think that it was the perfect way to sum up exactly what was going on. Sure, maybe high risk, high reward in the sense of the stockholders, but maybe not as much for Cracker Barrel itself. Now they could just take advantage of these inside deals that are going on with low stocks. They have new investors, and now they're probably gonna run to the bank. Time will tell how well what I think is this whole PR stunt will work long term. But as we've seen before with Coca-Cola, brand loyalty is extremely important to Americans. When those brands that we connect to deeply are interfered with, it's easy for people to kind of, say, oh, it's just jumping the wagon. But I think it's also a good opportunity for us to look a little bit deeper into it and really think like how these corporations do and say, am I getting tricked here? I don't know. That's it. Peace.
Is Cracker Barrel. They have gone back to the old logo. They listen
to you, the customer.
There's like a silver lining in this. People actually care about Cracker Barrel.
Well, we read and we listened, and you know the rest. They're both yours. The new taste of Coke and Coca-Cola Classic. Your right of choice is back.